Perfect. Take number 2. Welcome back to another episode of RMC. This week, we're going to be rolling through men's health, specifically with mental health.
Men's mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, fellas, let's cue the speakers here and get her going.
First thing I want to say is, this is all topics, especially regarding health, are serious, but just kind of another disclaimer, we're not mental health professionals, but we are health and fitness professionals. So, we're just kind of talking about benefits of what we do and what fitness is and physical therapy, chiropractic, and always make sure you speak with a mental health professional if you need help. But men's mental health is super important, so that's why we're diving in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an important topic, obviously, as they all are that we are speaking on. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about it. But I think bringing it to the forefront is key, as we'll get into. A lot of times it's something that men and women suffer alone with. So bringing the conversation to the forefront like this is important.
Mm-hmm. So, maybe starting with men's mental health, what is that? Why is there a difference? Why is there men's in front of mental health? How is it maybe different? What do you guys think?
Like you already said, right? Most of the time, men are going to suffer in silence. They don't like to talk. We all shut people out and, bottle it up inside, and then until one day it just kind of erupts. And, on the extremist side, we see it happen in the professionals, right? And on normal Joe Schmo side, obviously they just kind of shut everybody out, right? And we just need to be more apparent to allow each other to have that opportunity to have a voice and find somebody to talk to, whether it's a physical therapist, a chiropractor, or obviously a fitness professional of some sort, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely, some of my patients refer to me as their chirotherapist, which just a therapist, but not necessarily the goal. But however, so I think all of us want to support our people in all aspects, and working with somebody physically has a direct impact on them mentally, right? The kind of suffer in silence thing, I like to imagine people, or the image of feeling like arrows are going in your back, but still feel like you have to move forward. I think that's a powerful image of how a lot of guys can feel, of it doesn't matter what life throws at me, I have to be hurting and still I'm obligated to move forward. And I think a lot of men can resonate with somewhat of a similar image of that.
We have the old school mentality, you're the man of the house, right? You got to be able to take care of your wife, your spouse, your significant other. But also there's a lot of strong women out there that can help you. You can find somebody, just got to find the right one.
This kind of leads into our is a good continuation from the last topic on pain versus injury that we had. And mentally, the concept's the same. I think a lot of times, you might be going through some mental stress, or some guy out there will be going through that and not know when the line of, okay, now I need to seek help versus I can manage this on my own is. I think a lot of guys extend that way too far. And they're in a zone where they should be asking help, but they think, no, this isn't really a big deal, or I can just keep, pushing through this on my own. So I think the biggest thing for us as health professionals is helping people realize, no, you're in a situation where it'd be helpful to have some guidance.
Absolutely.
It's a great parallel for 2 reasons. Number one, it's a good callback to episode 4 of RMC, so check it out.
Check it out.
Like and subscribe.
Absolutely. That's a big one. Obviously, if you're in the Mech 1 area, hey, give us a shout. Come and hang out. We'll help you out.
Give us a shout, come and hang out. I like that. But also, too, I think a lot of people think mental health is this abstract thing, applying the conversation of pain versus soreness to, is it my feeling an emotion, or is this a cycle of emotions that I can't break out of? And asking that question and seeing where that line is to seek help of some kind. I think that's a beautiful analogy of, because we can think about pain, especially men will think about pain and hard things and physicalness, hard things like rock solid PT
in Mech 1.
but the parallel of, where is that line emotionally? Is this just a feeling, or is this a pattern that I need help with breaking out of?
Yeah, I agree. It is hard. Where do you go? What do you do? Right. I know one thing that I do is come to the gym. Right. That's the biggest thing that I have to do. We all have our demons. We all struggle, whether it's just stress, emotional burnout, like all those adjectives that kind of fall into play under mental health. But a good workout, sweating, being with my friends, shooting a breeze, making fun of each other, whatever it might be, like that helps because it gets you out of that slump, and it kind of makes you be level-headed enough so that you can kind of be like, okay, the task that I have at hand, write a list out, whatever it might be that kind of keeps you going in that right direction. It all stems from one spot, right? In my eyes, right? What about you guys? What's the first thing that you're gonna do when you're kind of, your feelings are, in the dumps? You need to kind of figure out how to get out of that slump or get back to kind of even keel. Like, is there something that you like to do, or?
There's three things. Workouts, making sure I'm moving, or that's the next thing. If it's late at night, making sure I'm moving the next morning. But I think about my fitness. I think about my diet and my sleep. Like, if my sleep is low, like my brain isn't moving the way it should. And then if I've been eating like shit, I forgot if we're swearing or not. But we're rolling with.
I guess you are.
Yeah.
Now we got about 17 subscribers right now, so
Hey.
just remember it's a PG.
All right.
Kids don't watch.
Fair enough.
For this episode.
All right. If I'm eating like crap, then that's a big player. And sometimes literally I'm like, I think I need a steak tonight. Like I'll literally, like, my protein is low. I need, some heartiness to get the processed carbs out of it, like steak and a salad. Like, I will go to that as like a go-to meal. So like those three things I think about a lot of the time of like, what can I do right now? If I feel like I'm in a pattern that I shouldn't be in. So I evaluate those, ask myself those questions, and act on those as soon as I can.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and then to add one more layer to that, and speaking really holistically, because we're creatures of biology. I think we're creatures of emotion, and obviously we have spirits as well. So, like for me, my faith and community is important there. Regardless of if you are a quote unquote religious person or not. I think just having a community of people around you, and really a standard of how to live your life is important for anybody, again. But the gym community as well is also critical, like having people around you that kind of keep you grounded in life, because the ups and downs are going to happen. So whether that's at church, the synagogue, at gym, whatever, like having people that you can connect with is critical. So don't forget about that other element that is unseen but is critical.
The gym is the Church of Iron. That is 100%.
That is another name you can use for it. Yeah.
And, but on that, like, community is super important, and I think benefit of community is hearing other people, but also being able to express yourself. And with that too, I think I've been past year I've been seeing a therapist myself, and I think there's zero shame in seeing a therapist, especially for men, where there's definitely that stigma where don't talk. It might be easier to go to a community, but working with a professional is super important too, for a variety of reasons. And I think making sure we're not forgetting that we can do all our things, but like I visualize it as, if I feel like my brain has dust on it and there's crud and cobwebs and that's making it not function well, it's going to therapy is like cleaning your brain. It's literally washing it. And I think that's
a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to clean, but you need to. You don't want to live in your filth.
Right.
You got to allow yourself to get back into a position that everybody's like, hey, you can come over and hang out with me. Before, if you're dirty, I'm not having anybody come to my house. So it smells bad, or you got a laundry piled up, or whatever it might be. Clean your laundry.
Right.
Clean your brain. That's smart.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I wonder what your brain smells like if it's all dusty and.
It's probably wet, isn't it?
It's not wet. I mean, there's usually a lot of steam because I'm kind of angry, right?
But cleaning it, though.
Cleaning it definitely is a big thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, going off of, like you said, you're going to therapy. I don't have the time to go to therapy, right? That's a big aspect to a lot of
challenge.
Men's lives and women's lives, right? Yeah. But one thing that I have done and do is I take time for myself to read and listen and journal. Like that's one thing that I've actually done over the last year that's kind of helped me kind of tie back into things that how I was feeling and where I was at in that time of the year, whether it was first quarter or last quarter, specifically with the gym being in an entrepreneurial role, as we all are. It's tough, and they are it is not for the faint of heart. It really is difficult. And there is no one really that can understand what you're going through outside of other individuals that are going through the same shit. And I just swore too. Whoops.
Yeah. It's enough with that, man.
But yeah.
No,
Sammy, how about you?
I think it helps to have something to redirect your energy and redirect your thoughts. I mean, I think since we're talking about men specifically, I think we usually have more of a tendency to withdraw. At least I certainly do. You know, if I have some issue on my mind, I'll be the first person to just shut off and just kind of process it in my own head. And my wife knows, like, for sure, those around me, they can tell, like, hey, you know, you're not quite being yourself. But for me, having young kids and other things at home that like really force you to think about things outside of your own mind, that's critical. I think the gym and just being active is also helpful because, you know, if you're pushing yourself in a workout, you don't really have time in that moment to think about, like, you know, bills and the stresses of life. Like, I think it's an excellent way to force yourself to redirect those thoughts. And that's part of the reason why I think, again, having a community and some activity like this is critical. You just got to break that cycle.
And I think another pressure to try to continue to understand, look at your brain, clean your brain, or break those cycles of breaking, oh, I'm withdrawing, I got to do something. Another challenge outside of time can be communities. Like, there's sometimes such a big stigma, depending on what type of community you live in, the people you're around, where it's so ingrained. It's not just like, oh, I'm the man of the house. It's literally just the expectation everywhere from generations is you don't say anything. You don't talk about anything. You take it on the chin and you keep moving. And when you have family members where that's reinforced, and then if you're trying to make change, you get made fun of, you know, those types of things, it's harder to continue that path, right? And I think recognizing that as a external pressure making it difficult is important, because then you can then continue to try to reach out to different positive communities and different positive changes. But when there's such a society pressure to say, no, you're fine, man, just keep going, keep being a soldier, like, that's really hard to break out of. You know, if your own, speaking since it's men's mental health, if your own father or grandfather or uncle is like making fun of you, and that's a person you look up to because it's hard for you to deal with something, that's gonna make it even harder to process that, whatever you're going through. And I think that at least recognizing that as a challenge is one of the first steps to overcoming that challenge.
I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on, and too, hopefully helpful for the audience, is how would you help somebody, or maybe what are some characteristics you could recognize in yourself of the difference between, all right, I had a bad day or a bad couple days, versus like, all right, now I'm breaching into the territory of there's some true like mental dysfunction, if you will, or a mental problem that I have to get help for. I guess, what's that line for you guys?
I'll start. There you go.
Here you go.
I mean, from my own personal experience, right? Like I said, this life is different, and we're still growing, still learning. But one thing that I have to do is follow my schedule, right? I said already earlier, time is very valuable, and it's something that you got to kind of find in yourself and know how to kind of draw the line of, yes, I can do it, or no, I got to wait and do something else. If somebody were to come to me, or has in the past, the first thing I tell them to do is just think about nighttime rituals and then morning time rituals. Whether that might be, hey, jump in the cold water in the morning, hey, hot shower, sauna, whatever you got to do, go for a walk. Little things that can help kind of break things down and just focus on that little bit of a moment, right? I do it every day, have for the last 2 years. Every morning I sit for at least 2.5 minutes in a cold tub, and it sucks. The initial shock, you lost your breath, you have no idea, but then as you come to focusing on your breathing, everything slows down, everything gets easier, and you just got to take it 2 minutes at a time, all right? So starting with habits early in the morning, late at night, sleep, right? So those are the two things that I really would advise and focus on for anybody that comes to me.
So it's, and continuing with kind of like your personal experience, it's when you fall off of that track, that's like how you start to recognize, oh man, there's a differentiating factor here going.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think for, not me personally, but just being a healthcare provider, I get to witness people over time. And so like, whether it be physically see a change in them, whether their traps are tighter, maybe they do have more pain, because we didn't really go too deep in the rabbit hole of the psychology and neurobiology of pain last time, a little bit. But like, if they're A, physically different, but B, just like over time, over the course of a couple months, like their affect is different. They're, a little bit more short, more tired, they're telling me things aren't going the way they are. I'm listening for change and seeking or seeing if there's change. And as an observer, it's like, okay, well, have you noticed that change? If the answer is no, that's where you mentioned journaling. I think that's huge. And especially since men, a lot of time will be reserved and retreat, it's actually a great time to journal and say what's going on and talk to yourself. And just, even if it's like what happened in that day, or if it's a prompt or whatever have you, that a lot of times when I'm speaking with men, I'll ask about them, like, have you been doing your schedule, like kind of yourself, or have you ever tried journaling, or have you ever tried this? If they've recognized there's a change, and then kind of see how that conversation goes from there. Whether it's journaling in the morning or nighttime, it's all about being able to observe what has happened, and if you can observe it, then you can do something about it. So that's kind of how, as a healthcare provider regarding this space, is listening and asking questions and seeing if that person has noticed the same thing too.
Yeah, I like your point on observing it. I would reiterate that by saying that for me, the most helpful thing I've found is just trying to go through what would, I guess, be described as like a metacognitive process, meaning thinking about how I'm thinking and not just being caught in the thoughts. But when I can start to realize, like, okay, whatever stress is on my mind is the only thing I'm thinking about, and also those thoughts are not really productive. I'm not solving a problem. I'm just rinsing over the same anxieties and stresses over and over again, and it's occupying most of my day. For me, that, once you take a step back and ask yourself, like, okay, how have my thoughts been? And when they have been that way, you can tell, like, okay, something has to change. Maybe it's talking to somebody, maybe it's, journaling, writing it down, but you have to recognize, when the problem is there. As you said, you have to observe it so that you can then break it. I think a lot of times, men especially, we get stuck in that loop and we don't pause to think about the loop that we're in, and you can't fix the problem if it's not visible to you.
Yeah. Personally, the past maybe 3 years, I have a automatic, not alarm, but it's a reminder on my phone at 10:45 a.m. that pops up saying, "Have you paused today?" And every day. And Monday through Friday, and Saturday, Sunday, it doesn't go off because I'm able to be more present compared to the hustle and bustle of the day. Over the course of 3 years, there are many times where I just ignore it, right? But there are a lot of times where I'm thankful for that reminder to pause and be able to think about my thoughts and just take a moment and really just breathe, and then literally give yourself space to breathe so you can observe. And I think that approach is very helpful, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Do you guys either read affirmations or have an affirmation that you say every day to yourself or anything like that might help get you or somebody else that is seeking out of the funk? Like, is there anything like that you've ever looked into?
I've done affirmations for many, many years, and I think when you start to practice affirmations, it can be super helpful. The most two powerful words in the human language is "I am." And if you can say "I am" and then eventually let your own guard down to yourself and let it flow, you can have a really powerful connection to your own words. So I've done that a shit ton. Yeah, that was intentional. I am
intentional.
Perfect pause.
Little wind up. Yeah, I mean, my affirmations, I would say, are more scriptural. So,
Sure.
I have rooted in my Christian faith, and for me, that's helpful because that's outside of my thoughts. Those are words and messages that are beyond anything I can think of. So for me, it's a great way to stay rooted and not just stay within my own psyche. So again, at times, sift through kind of whatever verse is speaking to me the most, and that tends to work effectively for me.
Do you have, sorry.
I was just on that topic, I'm not a theologian in my own practice of like my faith is, separate from the conversation, but I'm pretty sure that I am has biblical historical context to it.
Yeah.
At one point I forgot, someone was like, what do I say who you are? And it, God says I am, or something like that.
Yeah.
You want to share the one that you usually go to? Which one is it?
Well, that's a good question. I wouldn't say that there's one that I usually go to. I guess the concept that for me is helpful is to always remember that the Lord is the provider. I mean, as the man of the house, I know we touched on that. It's kind of in my mind that, okay, I have to be the one that always provides, that if something falls short, it's on my end, and you put a lot of stress on yourself that way.
Pressure.
But for me, it's helpful to know that, okay, ultimately, I have a father, a heavenly father above me he's ultimately the one in control. Doesn't mean that I slack off and do whatever I want and tell my wife, like, oh, good luck with the bills. But that kind of thing just like keeps you rooted to know, like, okay, life's going to be okay. You're not ultimately the one in control, and just, keep doing your best. So yeah, for me, that's helpful to remember.
Cool.
I think that last part is super helpful to remember, that letting go of control, right? A lot of that pressure comes from feeling like there's so much we as men have to do and we can't say, and that so many things that we have to control. But in reality, the only thing that you can control is the thing that's in between your ears. Like that's,
Which is a very, very dark place sometimes.
100%.
You just gotta allow it to happen and allow yourself to find the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
So we'll tie things back in between all three of our practices. What would be like the top 3 things that you would tell or kind of scope out so that people could come to you if they're dealing with these things or have these thoughts in mind? What would be top 3?
Well, that's a good question. All 3 from each
Yeah,
of us?
just
or-
we'll go around the horn.
I mean, I would say the biggest thing is, and I say this in a lot of different scenarios, but don't be afraid to move. I think many times, obviously the mental health side of things relates to pain and movement most often in my practice, but I would say the vast majority of the cases, the problem that's perceived is not a physical or structural harm. Doesn't mean that the person's crazy or all the pain's just in their head. It just means that there is hope, and a lot of people lose hope because they've been having pain for a while, but or maybe something else has been told to them by another provider is what they shouldn't do. But for me, I would say that's the most important thing, is trying to build that confidence for people to don't be afraid to move. It's always important.
I would say the three aspects that come to mind is similar. Chiropractic care can help people continue to move, by helping their joints physically move in a variety of ways and modalities to do that. So that's number 1, similar to the PT. But number 2, I think there's this one is the easier second one. Chiropractic care impacts your nervous system. And so by adjusting the spine through the fascial connections within the actual spine to the spinal cord and the nerves, it allows your nervous system to rest and go from a sympathetic state to a parasympathetic state, especially depending on what's going on and what's getting adjusted. So that has a big impact on somebody's ability to let their shoulders down and relax and breathe and create space. But then a similar level of that is number 3 is the act of the adjustment, or just putting your hands on somebody. Like physical touch, is like huge, and massage therapy and PT has benefits with this as well. It's like, as humans, we don't touch each other a whole lot. And number 1, it's a very honoring thing to allow somebody, for me to put my hands on them. But number 2, like allowing yourself to let go and have hands being placed on you can let your guard down. And can help promote that healing and that mindfulness of a lot of things, which is, there's a lot of studies about the power and healing power of touch, but it's, the nervous system and the pain is closer to what we can easily, tangibly measure and think about and act upon. But I think that's a very powerful feeling of just like, that is a very honoring space, and respecting that.
I like that a lot. I really do. From the perspective of fitness and CrossFit and obviously moving, that is what we do, but I'm going to try to go a different route. So I'm going to say consistency is number 1. Being consistent is going to allow you to not stray away from, what you got going on. If you know for a fact, if you sign up on Sunday for whatever every class that you're going to go to throughout the week, you know you have something to look forward to, right? Being technical, doing things that you can actually turn your brain off from the day-to-day activities and do something that is difficult, such as the snatch or the clean and jerk. You find the beauty in something that is hard, right? And then last but not least, I'm going to piggyback off you and we'll go touch, right? So high five, dab anybody up after they're done. You feel accomplished. You're laying on the floor. You're drenched. Well, let's get up and give somebody a high five. Say, hey, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because like that's a huge thing. For
And,
sure.
and like specifically that, you know, in the CrossFit space and you know, the workouts here at the gym or just any like fitness classes, like going through something hard together, you know, and this in a class, it's both men and women, you know, but like, so this applies to both, but just like being able to like, man, we freaking did that. That was terrible. Like, Mitch, screw you for making that.
what punk ass did this today? I didn't, because I'm laying on the ground right next to you. I hate myself after that.
That was terrible. But like, there's something very rewarding to knowing as a community, you know, you did something that was tough and that you're showing up tomorrow to do something tough again. And the consistency of it. So I agree. That's one of the reasons why, you know, I loved coming to CrossFit in this gym and is for that, because I think it's awesome. Because if you can, the pressures of life, whether it be like the dirtiness of our brain,
Back to the dirty brain.
or that needs to be clean. That's a better way of saying it. You know,
Dirty.
The mental health aspect to it internally, or the pressures of our life, or you know, if you do something hard for 20 minutes, sending that email is super easy. You know, having that conversation with that family member is a lot easier because
absolutely.
I just put 200 pounds above my head, or I just put 50 pounds above my head, or 25 kilos. You know, whatever it might be. If you can remember that you're strong physically, that's going to positively impact you mentally 100% of the time.
You got two more? I know you only said one, and then Garrett jumped in. We're gonna
Well, it seemed like it was
roll back to you.
I kind of was.
Yeah. It felt like it was a solid period and a paragraph.
Yeah, it was.
Well, we're gonna indent and start another one.
There was definitely in there.
Red line.
What was the initial prompt? I forget.
So,
What are
top three tips that you would say is helpful for
Oh, yeah, yeah.
coming
Okay.
to-
like
to
in your profession?
your clinician?
So two. So we said, don't be afraid to move. Have confidence with that. Number two would be community. I know we kind of touched on that already, but like you have to have people around you, like we've said. I think it's ironic how digitally connected we are, much more nowadays, but still physically and socially probably much more disconnected.
What we're doing right now.
Right. So
Connecting through the hearts and minds.
exactly.
Everybody in Ozaki County.
That's right.
Thank you, 17 people. Yeah. But like that part's absolutely critical. It's a basic like human need, I think, that we have that a lot of us forget about. I mean, we're at the basic level, we're animals, right? So a lot of animals they need a tribe, they need a crew to stick with, and that's absolutely what we need. So you have to have that if you're going through some pain or mental health journey. You have to have people around you can trust. Let's see, you touched on consistency. That's good. I won't steal that or bar that again. But I would say goal setting. I would say absolutely, have a direction. I think a lot of people, we lose out on the consistency because it just feels aimless. It just feels like, well, I'm just going to the gym, or I'm just doing this thing just because, that's the goal, is just because. But it shouldn't be that. It should be something more concrete. Maybe it's because I want to maximize my time with my kids, or I want to, be able to accomplish more in my day-to-day life, or whatever it is, have something concrete. Because we need that as people. We need to have some goal in mind. Otherwise, it's easy to just kind of get lost in the ether and give up after a while.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Man, we've been doing this a lot today.
We're linked.
Apparently. But I'm going to go first, because I don't want to lose this train of thought. And this is the beauty behind what we're doing, right? Like, I'm very thankful that we have the ability to have a group of people, big community that we can kind of tap into, right? That I see on a day-to-day basis, you guys may see on a day-to-day basis. And if they come to you, we can work so that they can still do what they want to do. Obviously, that would be being in the gym, or being able to pick up their kids, or being able to just go for a walk, right? Like, without this little I'm not going to say that word, but that triangle, right? Almost said it. But without this triangle, like, there really would be no opportunity for some people to talk amongst themselves like, hey, who do I go to for, my shoulder hurts, right? And then my question is, did it happen here? Or did it happen outside of the gym? I don't know. Well, if that's more based on, what they're saying, I'm going to say, hey, go talk to Sam, or hey, go talk to Garrett. And that's the beauty of it. Like, I'm so thankful that I have you guys in my corner, because without it, it would be a struggle.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, I mean, ditto. Absolutely, got to have people to carry clients or patients through the long-term journey. So again, got to have partners and communities everywhere.
Yes.
Now, do you remember what you were going to say?
I do. It was so with goal setting, I think I was just going to echo how important that is. And I think a lot of times we can set goals and then a year goes by, we hit them, and then we don't set another one. We don't think about it. This past November, and very big on I'm fine with New Year's resolutions, but at the same time, I like talking about goals in November and trying to start them in December. But if people start in January, whatever, that's okay. But a lot of people in my office have been asking hey, why have you been coming in here? I don't know. He told me to come in. And I'm like, well, what's your goal? Do you all right, you don't have a goal. Let's set you some goals. You can always recalibrate is my point of bringing it up. Having that goal and that target, gives us focus and direction. And we all need that, men and women. But as men, if you're feeling aimless, you don't know what's going on, putting a goal is an easy way to start kind of gathering everything and able to move forward. And then you can then find three of us have for our community, but then as well as the people that we serve on a day-to-day basis, right?
Yeah.
I think we're always recalibrating the goals and asking yourself, what is my goal with this? I think that's excellent.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, speaking of goals, we're getting to the point of the end of our episode here. On top of that, it's almost the end of the year. So for the three of us, for this tribe that we got going on, what's one goal that you have that the three of us can hold each other accountable for? Let's see if we can do this, and then before this thing ends in the next 3 minutes.
For the next year?
Yeah.
That's loaded.
Yeah. Tough.
Especially since I really haven't sat down and evaluated
I just rewrote. I wrote 3 of my goals for next year. I mean, number one, I want that you guys can obviously help hold me accountable. Jeez. Is we'll go with which one? We want to go physical? Not that one. I'd rather go emotional. Let's just stay on the topic. Emotionally, I want to make sure that I am not overly stressing on the number of individuals that I have at my facility, and more along the lines of emotionally helping everybody that I see. So that's something that you guys can tap and be like, yo, chill. Or continue to do what you're doing.
You got it. I definitely hold you accountable for that. Word. Yes, chef. What do you got?
Well, it's good. Professionally, I'll go along the personal route. Maybe being more present in the moment, especially with friends and family. I think for me, I've found it's extremely easy to fall into business or professional thoughts, and especially outside of the clinic, that's not really productive. I think it draws from, at times, the joys of life, which is the whole point of everything we're doing. Why be fit and everything if you can't enjoy, what you're experiencing. That. So, I guess I would say for me, that's the key. So hold me accountable by, making sure, hey, spend time with your family, what you guys do, making sure that you're not letting the sweet moments of life go by too fast.
For myself, and kind of in between, this year was a great year going to therapy, but I think continuing to go through. I made a lot of milestones, a lot of headway with a lot of things personally and for a variety of reasons, mentally, past, future, but I think continuing to show up. I think for me that I can be very serious. What's the point of what are we doing? Why are we doing this? If it's not worth my time, I'm not doing.
Between the two of us, I don't think Garrett is serious at all, dude.
Not at 6 a.m.
Switch between probably the two most stern individuals in the area.
Well, fair, but
different if it's 5 or 6 a.m., right?
Yes,
that's true
for sure. And trying an Olympic lift at 5 a.m. doesn't go well. Anyways, but consistently showing up, I think, for myself, because if I can't show up for myself consistently, I won't be able to show up for my patients, my wife, my family, and everyone else around me. And so I think going into 26, continuing, even I'm like, oh, okay, I did therapy for the year. That's good. Don't need to do it. I think continuing to observe myself and taking that time to observe myself. So you can hold me accountable by like asking, hey, when was the last time you went? Have you been going? Cool. All right, rock on.
Let's do it.
So
I like it.
So on that note, remember, if you're trying to go far, go together. That's the biggest thing. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of RMC. We'll see you next time.
Appreciate y'all.
peace.